Antonyms. So analogies now, again, you guys probably start to see like, okay, you want to use these like very precise analytical techniques and use them in a very like clear way. Don't just go with instinct or whatever. Well, obviously we're going to do the same thing for antonyms. Again, with antonyms, the equivalent of the connector sentence, like best technique, is read the word, define the word, immediately come up with its opposite, and if there's two senses of the words, maybe come up with an opposite for each, right? And then go down and look for the synonym of what you just came up with, right? Does that make sense? Really, really straightforward. Oh, wait, hold on. There's other stuff here. So they can have secondary meanings. It has to have an antonym, so if there's like 2 or 3 meanings to a word and one of them doesn't have an antonym, that's obviously not the one you're going to be using. Oh, and there's never going to be like, oh, if it's this word, if it's this definition, it would be that antonym, and if it's this definition, it would be that antonym. You'll never see that because there always has to be one answer and only one answer. So if you do see that, probably one of your definitions is wrong. Oh yeah, if you're figuring out which definition is, you can look at the answer choices if you need to form the part of speech, but again, you don't want to look at the answer choices unless you have to. You really want to try and define this as best as you can and come up with sort of a good, I mean, essentially what you're doing in this technique is you're turning an antonym problem into a synonym problem, which is much easier, right? So you define it, you come up with what the opposite of that would be, and then you just look for that word. So it's like a synonym search problem, which is easier than trying to figure out an antonym. There's less steps involved. Opposite of what? Oh, yep, here's the example I gave earlier. So there's different components to words, and just be sensitive to that. Okay, so yep, turn it into a synonym question by predicting the answer. So you just define it, don't look at the answer choices, come up with an antonym, and then just go down and see which one is most similar. If there's not one most similar, you might want to try again. That's sort of the equivalent of the connector sentence, right? Really straightforward. If you don't, like let's say you're sort of familiar with the word, but you don't know it, you don't have the precise definition offhand, again, obviously use your approximate vocab techniques, the sort of general stuff to try and pin it down as concretely as you can. That may only take you so far. So you can also work backwards. So if you have only some sense of the word, you might want to look at them and say, the opposite of that answer choice would be this. Does that sound like what I sort of know this word to be? Does that make sense? So instead of, it's like a reverse synonym question, right? You're saying like, oh, that's the opposite. Is that what I know this definition to be? And if they don't match very well, then it's wrong, right? Does that make sense? Right. Eliminate any words without clear antonyms. Clearly, every answer choice for an antonym question will always need a clear antonym. So if you get like, prairie grass, that's obviously the opposite. Eagle, right? There's the opposite. Completely unfamiliar word, again, approximate stuff, work backwards. Eliminate any words without clear antonyms. Yep, again, that sort of still work backwards. That's basically, that's sort of straightforward. So it's essentially you're hunting for synonyms is more or less the way you're going to approach these. So let's do some problems.